Wilson's was the West Prime Underground restaurant. It was the only place that played music because its owners were the Duke and Duchess of Washington. They paid heavy under-the-table fees that had most lawmen willing to look the other way. Gumble sat at the table in the far back, waiting for his meal and taking in the music he heard. It was truly beautiful. Strings of some kind, and keys. Since instruments themselves were forbidden, Gumble never thought to commit them to memory. He did know who wrote this piece. It was Finch Damone. He knew because he requested it, and he requested it because Finch Damone was the man Gumble was sent to kill. 1 month ago, the Flannel Ronin helped the musician evade a group of lawmen at the border of Mexis, successfully getting him into the West. Since their falling out during the disbandment of the Neo-Samurai, Gumble made it his mission to undo what he could that the Flannel Ronin was responsible for. It was difficult, as the Ronin was quite good at hiding people and even getting them off country, on a plane, or past the borders up north and down south. Yet Gumble was still able to track down many an escaped musician, filmmaker, or oathbreaker. However, the thought of the over 2,000 souls wasting away in the royal prison began to weigh heavily on his mind. Gumble's armadillo steak and mashed potatoes arrived at the same time that Finch Damone stormed in. He was tall, but rail thin, with bright yellow hair, sporting a 6-inch cowlick. He wore a long barn coat that clashed against his bright red suspenders. "I got word that a lawman is looking for me. Where's he at?" The young hostess quickly came over. She pointed in Gumble's direction, and the enraged Damone fiercely strutted towards the lawman. "You came to claim me?" "Indeed." "Well, if you think I'm going peacefully, you out your bloated mind." Finch Damone lifted the left side of his coat to expose the .45 revolver, pocketed inside. "This music, it's yours, correct?" "What?" "When I came in, I gave 3 oak coins to the young lady at the door and told her to play the best of Finch Damone. I believe I've heard 3 pieces so far. Very riveting." "I ain't in the mood, and I ain't got the time for this." "Just answer me. What are you using to make the music?" "You mean my Casio?" "A Casio? And that makes all these sounds." "Mister, I ain't here to give no music lessons. A man of your occupation has no business appreciating it anyhow." "Please take a seat. I will even pay for your meal. You can get anything you'd like." "I don't break bread with no lawmen. Not after everyone y'all killed or locked up. I've hated every second I've had to talk to you so far, pretending you're a person, which you ain't." "If you would please sit down, I can explain." Finch Damone spit on Gumble's food. The lawman looked up at the musician with a heartbroken, yet stern face. "Very well, sir." Gumble towered 8 feet over Finch Damone, who backed up at the sight of him. "Know this. My whole life, I portray this calm exterior, because inside there is a storm of rage that is quite terrifying. My whole life is spent fighting who I want to be against who I really am. My whole life." He grabbed Finch Damone by the cowlick, pushing his face towards his. "My whole life!" Slam onto the bar. "My whole life!" Slam onto the floor, breaking the bones in Damone's feet. "My!" Slam, he broke his knees. "Oh!" Slam, he broke his ribcage. "Life!" Finch Damone started vomiting blood. Gumble turned him over, grabbing him by the throat. "Please!" "Do you have a wife?" Through tears, the musician nodded, but the lawman's grip only grew tighter. "Do you have children?" "Yes, yes!" He gripped tighter, cracking his neck bone. "Then you should have thought of them, as well as anyone who has ever joyed to hear your gifts." Gumble put his thumbs into Finch Damone's eye sockets, pushing inward until his digits burst through the back of the man's skull, then pulled his head apart like cardboard. He was covered in blood, heaving for a minute as no one could look on. Every patron, no matter how used they were to this violent world, could believe what they had witnessed. The lawman stood, taking out a handkerchief to wipe some of the blood off his face. Apologies to everyone. I will be paying for all your meals courtesy of the king. If you still have an appetite, that is. Fare thee well. And with that, the number one lawman of the West was headed back to his office, which was on fire. The fire crews did their best to put it out. Gumble was furious. Searching the chaos for an answer, he was approached by a bureaucrat. Lawman Gumble? The very same. You have knowledge of this event? There was a call put into the castle by Lawman Lumberjack. Apparently, a roving band of illegal filmmakers set fire to the elevator. He barely escaped with the one Denver Max, and they're headed on the retrieve mission for the princes. Retrieve mission? Were they involved in this as well? Separate issues entirely. Were they able to pull anyone or anything out of that fire? Nothing so far but a bunch of bodies. Some hacked limbs, oddly enough. Any case files that would keep me occupied are ablaze now. Did Lawman Lumberjack say where he was headed? It's pretty well known that the boys are headed for Haven City. Thank you, good sir. Gumble headed off to his truck when the bureaucrat stopped him. Lawman Gumble, I have fulfilled the extent of my role. I just came from dispatching someone. The law is the law. Stay right there. Gumble climbed into his black pickup truck, supported by 66-inch tires. The engine roared to life. The truck ran over and through the bureaucrat before heading east on the highway. He drove for hours, using his patrol light and speeding as fast as he could, when a call came over his dispatch radio. Near the border of Beaurain, something had happened at Dusty's Diner, and that was an understatement. A rightfully incensed King Morton contacted Gumble. Beyond dead. You hear me? I want whoever did this to my boys beyond dead. Yes, sir. It seems Lawman Lumberjack is the one that got poor Francisco. My condolences. Bushy was slain by an unknown assailant. Again, my condolences. You said they were headed to Haven City, right? The boys were going in that direction. What is your command, sir? Go to Haven City and prepare for my arrival. King Morton slammed the phone hard on his receiver. Gumble solemnly returned the phone back to the waitress, gave her a nod, and got back to the highway. One massive detail he had purposefully left out was that the waitress did in fact see who killed Bushy. As she described it, the blind one and the dog skull went back to the RV and outstepped this Bushy of yours and a peculiar fella in some kind of plaid get-up with this large, beautiful cat. It had tusks. Oh, I wish I had a picture. Anyways, your Bushy seemed like he wanted the plaid fella or the blind man to kill the dog skull. Instead, the plaid man split your Bushy up the center with his sword. Gumble omitted that information because upon hearing it and witnessing the crime scene, something had become clear. The royals of the West did not deserve their seats of power, and he had spent years running from, abandoning, capturing, and killing those who had true honor. Gumble's mission wasn't to prepare Haven City for King Morton, but to warn the Ronin and prepare for the fight to end all of this. The highway ended at the 17-foot walls. Gumble waited in his car until a light at the booth to the far right turned on. A voice spoke from a megaphone. Pull over to the left and exit the vehicle with your hands raised. Gumble did as instructed. 2 Haven Rangers were on him as soon as the door to his truck closed. One patted him down, while the other shoved a light in his face. Welcome to Haven City. Do you have anything to declare? No. Any weapons in the vehicle? No. The ranger giving the pat-down finished his procedure. He was terrified when finally getting a look at Gumble's face. Holy jeez, Lonnie, you don't know who this is? Should I? He's the friggin' Gumble! Fella doesn't have a weapon, 'cause he is the dang weapon! We gotta get special with him! Fine. Sir, do you have any explosive devices or personal trigger machinations in your vehicle? I opted out of the company upgrades. Whistles were blown. Within minutes, Gumble was peacefully apprehended and sent into the interrogation room of Rangers headquarters. Across from Gumble was Chief Ranger Rothborough, a stocky tan man with a bushy mustache. They knew each other by reputation. For the life of me, Gumble, I don't know why King Morton would come here. He knows this is a neutral zone. The king does not care. He is on his way. You are all in danger, and I need to speak to the Flannel Ronin. What makes you think he's here? Do not be coy with me, Roth. I followed his trail. He would have entered this city in a Winnebago a few hours ago. That's so. You see how I'm chained to this table? That is out of mere courtesy. I can easily break out and tear that mustache off your face. Here's something you might not know about the Rangers, Mr. Gumble. We're all volunteer citizens. And something else, every citizen is made up of displaced artists, engineers, and so forth that view you as the boogeyman. I let you loose in this city, and you're liable to find a knife in your back or a bullet in your skull. You confiscated all of the weapons. Not the Rangers. Please, I'm trying to help you. Then why'd you tell Morton in the first place? That was my last act as a lawman. This is my first act as a free one. All right, fine. But two things. Number one, the Flannel Ronin and friends are hosting movie night, about to premiere some flick the dog skull actor is in. You are not allowed to interrupt. Time is of the essence. Art is of the essence. And you better pray me and the other Rangers haven't missed 1 second of it thanks to you. And thing two, after those lights go up, you're the Ronins, since you're the one looking for him. So you also better pray that he has it in his heart to protect you. Gumble walked handcuffed in a straight line to the theater at the end of town. Along the way, he saw many illegal shops and exhibits on Main Street. It made him chuckle at the thought that he could have ever policed this. They reached the theater as the lights dimmed. That's prayer number one, thought Gumble. Then the movie started. It was the first time he had ever experienced a film. His father never exposed him to his work as an animator, for fear that they'd both be arrested. He never, in his years as a lawman, or even a neo-samurai, saw any art. The music of Finch Damone was the first time he allowed himself to hear music. Watching this film was unlike anything he had ever gone through in his life. It combined sight and sound in a way Gumble had never thought possible. After the film, there was a standing ovation. The nervous dog skull took the stage and bowed. Gumble could not help himself and had to cheer. Outstanding! Outstanding! Happy you think so. Gumble faced both Ronins and the giant cat George. They took him back to the Winnebago swiftly, so that the remaining audience members or any off-duty ranger could not see him. I expected the king to be on his way. The queen is on her way as well. How do you know that? I have my ways. Do you have a plan? I have that too. I'm all ears. Part of the plan is not telling you all of it. How about any of it? Ha! Good luck with that. Red's always been a fan of playing it close to the vest. Too close, if you ask me. Gumble, it is good to see you after all these years. Rista, you are a great man. This prolonged time together has surely showed me that. But if you think that I completely trust either of you, well, I am not an external laugher. But inside, I am cackling. That's fair. True. Been a long time, Rista. How'd you get involved with our old friend here? I was living in the hills with my wife and daughter, minding my own business as a taper farmer, when one cold night, Copper Sisters came. I fought them off, killed the two I thought were the only ones, but they were just the distraction. The queen herself came and made off with my Linda and my Samantha. She started going after the daughters of the neo-samurai from the rebellion. I met Red. He told me he's been trying to get to the east for years, so we joined up. Now it seems it's coming to us. What made you leave the lawman? I murdered my last musician after falling in love with his music. I just saw my first film made by most of the victims from my last crime scene. Rich or not, noble or not, talented or not, a change has got to happen. Welcome back, Gumble. Good to be back, Flannel. You just listened to The Flannel Ronin, Episode 5, Humble Gumble. This audio drama was written, performed, recorded, and edited by Drew Manning. If you enjoyed it, please stay tuned to this channel. Thank you for your time, and have a great one.